call the meeting to order at 6:37. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Trustee Bergman?
Here.
Trustee Bluthart?
Here.
Trustee McNeil?
Here.
Trustee Pierce is absent. Trustee Masek?
Here.
Trustee Peterson?
Present.
Mayor Gardner?
Present. First is the mayoral report. First, we have a couple of acknowledgements. December 7th is Pearl Harbor Remembrance Day, and Hanukkah this year is celebrated from December 7th through the 15th. Also want to thank the park board, staff, Public Works, police, and trustees for another good job on the holiday Christmas parade. So thank you. So first item on the agenda is consideration and approval of a resolution authorizing the retirement agreement between the Village of Antioch and James Keim, resolution number 23-75. Do I have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Motion, Trustee Peterson.
Second.
Second, Trustee Berman. Any discussion on this? All right. Roll call, please.
Berman?
Yes.
Bluthart?
Yes.
McNeil?
Yes.
Masek?
Yes.
Peterson?
Yes.
All right, 5 voting yes, motion carries. We also have appointments. Are you doing this or am I doing this? No, for okay. Next is an appointment appointing Jeffrey Gutchow as the acting administrator. Do I need to have a roll call? All right, so I entertain a motion in a second to confirm the appointment.
So moved.
Motion
Second.
Trustee Peterson, second Trustee Berman. Any discussion? Roll call, please. Discussion?
Yes.
Okay.
Of course there's discussion. If he's doing double the work, he should get double the pay. So I want to add to this that he should get paid for what he's doing, the extra work. So he should get the administrator pay on top of what he's getting as police chief. He should not have to do the role of police chief and village administrator. He should not be used as a free position.
No, and there we will have those discussions with him. We already have started those discussions with him. It will not be it'll be an acting role.
If he voting on this position, then he gets full pay at the administrative position. Because I don't want him separate. If we're gonna make him acting trustee, I want to make him acting with the pay in the same motion.
But we don't have those numbers right now, so that would have to
We
be
got
something.
what we paid the administrator. He's acting. We gotta, I mean, he's not gonna do it for a free job.
No, I understand that.
It's unfair to his family. Him and his family for the extra time.
Well, I think we will make sure we negotiate a reasonable and fair compensation for him. Well, this is not the proper forum to do this. And
May I say something?
Yeah. Trustee Peterson, yes.
I think that that should be discussed in private with police chief and the mayor and our assistant administrator and anybody else over there that should be involved in the conversation. However, it's personal, and I think that that should be done
And
in all fairness to the police chief.
all right, so let's note.
I think it's unfair. You're asking someone to take a job for free.
Oh, that's not accurate at all. So there will be a discussion regarding additional compensation during the term of his acting as the village administrator while we move to a process of finding a full term appointment. So we've already had those discussions with the chief, and for there, we will call roll to see if we can appoint him unless he objects. Jeff, do you object? Okay, thank you. Roll call, please.
Berman?
Yes.
Bluthart?
Yes.
McNeil?
Yes.
Masek?
Yes, I hope the discussion is that you get paid.
Peterson?
Yes.
5 voting yes, motion carries. Welcome, new officers. All right. We have 3 new officers that are going to be sworn in tonight, take the oath of office. I believe our police chief, Gutchow, acting whatever your title is now, is going to read the oath and swear in the officers.
All right, so just a brief introduction. If I could have recruit Patrick Conrad, recruit Jeffrey Millichin, and recruit Connor Janik, please come up front. So just to help you guys get familiar with the community and then get familiar with you, and when I'm doing your introduction, if you could just take one step forward, please. So Patrick Conrad. Patrick's a graduate of Vernon Hills High School. His commitment to community service was cultivated during his decade of service in the United States Marine Corps Reserves, where he currently serves as in the rank of Staff Sergeant. Eager to have a direct impact on the community that he lives in, he has chosen to pursue a career with a police officer with our department. Residing in Antioch since 2020 with his wife and their pets, Patrick is drawn to the town's strong sense of community. He looks forward to contributing to the Antioch Police Department and bringing his diverse skill set that he acquired through his time in the Marine Corps. Beyond his commitment to public service, Patrick finds solace in outdoor activities such as fishing, kayaking, and hiking with his dogs. He is joined here this evening by several family members, including his wife, Kelly. Or she can raise her hand and say hi. Hi, Kelly. Put you on the spot too. Thank you. Jeffrey Millichin. I butcher that every time, I'm sure. Too many Y's in it. Jeffrey holds a bachelor's degree in criminal justice from Lewis University, and he's excited to begin fulfilling his lifelong dream of becoming a police officer. He is very excited for the opportunity to join the ranks of the Antioch Police Department. Motivated by a deep-seated desire to make a positive impact on the community, he was drawn to Antioch PD for its commitment to improving how law enforcement approaches people suffering from mental health issues on a basis that emphasizes compassion and support. Residing in Round Lake with his girlfriend and 2 dogs, Jeffrey appreciates Antioch's tight-knit community and notable camaraderie within the police department. He values the department's commitment to serving the community and looks forward to contributing to serving Antioch with a compassionate approach. Outside of his upcoming duties, Jeffrey enjoys various activities from attending sporting events, playing sports, and spending quality times with his dogs. Seeing a bit of a theme here. He is joined this evening by his girlfriend, Christina, his parents, and their partners. If the family could just wave. Let's see where you are. Thank you for joining us tonight. And Connor Janik. Connor is a graduate of Warren Township High School and has long aspired to become a police officer. Inspired by his grandmother's footsteps as a police officer, Connor has committed himself to making positive differences in the lives of everyone he has the opportunity to come in contact with. Currently residing with his parents and brother, Connor values the hardworking and close-knit community of Antioch. He has completed some coursework toward his degree and has future plans of continuing his education, but for now he's excited for the opportunity to contribute to the Antioch Police Department's commitment to community service. His decision to join the department is fueled by his familiarity with the area and his strong sense of community. His varied hobbies include lacrosse and fishing and reflect his well-rounded personality. He is joined tonight by his mom, his dad, his girlfriend, Abby. And I think that's all I got. Who else we have on the list here? Mom and dad, where you at? Brother's on the phone. Okay, brother's on the phone. Hi, brother, wherever you're at. So thank you also for joining us. So at this time, I will ask the clerk to come and swear these new officers in.
I, Patrick Conrad, having been appointed as patrol officer of the Village of Antioch Police Department in the County of Lake, do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Illinois, that I will faithfully discharge the duties of patrol officer to the best of my ability. I, Jeffrey Millichin, having been appointed as patrol officer of the Village of Antioch Police Department in the County of Lake, solemnly swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Illinois, that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the officer to the best of my ability.
I do.
I, Connor Danny, having been appointed as the sole officer of the Village of Antioch Police Department in the County of Lake, do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Illinois, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the officer to the best of my ability.
Thank you.
Take it easy.
Albert. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
All right, congratulations. Class is dismissed for those of you that want to go out to dinner or give it a drink or not sit through a 2-hour meeting. So feel free. I'll give you a moment to exit if you want to leave. Yes, thank you.
You too.
Big salad bowls. Oh, this one. Okay. You want her? Her? Really? You want her? My gosh. You want her? Really? Oh. You gotta get the best one for that.
Favorite photo bomber.
I'm the guy in the blue shirt. He is spell her name wrong with an I. M-A-R-I. You know, you're the best. I wish the chief would let you out. You're so pinned down. That is such a clean wave. You too, Audra. That's such a clean wave.
Bye.
And then number 4. All right. We have everybody back. Yep. I didn't see anybody sign up for citizens wishing to address the board, so we'll move on to the consent agenda. Is there any request to remove any of the items from the consent agenda? All right. If not, I entertain a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Motion trustee McNeil,
Second.
second trustee Berman. Roll call, please.
Berman,
Yes.
Luther,
Yes.
McNeil,
Yes.
Mason,
Yes.
Peterson,
Yes.
5 voting yes, motion carries. First item on the regular business is consideration and approval of payments of accounts payable as prepared by staff in the amount of $441,621.28. Do I have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Motion trustee Peterson,
Second.
second trustee Berman. Any discussion on this item? All right, roll call, please.
Berman,
Yes.
Luther,
Yes.
McNeil,
Yes.
Mason,
Yes.
Peterson,
Yes.
5 voting yes, motion carries. Next item is consideration and approval of a resolution accepting the comprehensive annual financial report for the fiscal year ending April 30th, 2023. Resolution 23-69. Do I have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Motion trustee,
Second.
sorry.
Sorry.
Trustee Peterson, second trustee Berman. Any discussion on this item? Roll call, please.
Berman,
Yes.
Fluthart,
yes,
McNeil,
Yes.
Mason,
Oh, we're back.
Peterson,
Yes.
5 voting yes, motion carries. Item number 6 is consideration and approval of a resolution authorizing the acceptance of the municipal compliance report for the fiscal year ending April 30th, 2023, resolution number 23-70. Do I have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Motion trustee McNeil,
Second.
second trustee Berman. Any discussion on this item? Right, roll call, please.
Berman,
Yes.
Fluthart,
yes,
McNeil,
Yes.
Mason,
Yes.
Peterson,
Yes.
5 voting yes, motion carries. Next item is consideration and approval of an ordinance amending sections 4-2B-6 and 4-14-4 of the Antioch Village Code to require liquor license applicants and tobacco license applicants in the village of Antioch, Illinois, to refrain from selling products containing Delta 8 THC and kratom. Ordinance number 23-11-32. This is the second reading of this ordinance. Do I have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Motion trustee Peterson,
second,
second trustee McNeil, village attorney.
Yes, just one point. This is not a per se prohibition. This is a condition of licensure. And I just want to be very clear on that. Thank you.
All right, any other discussion on this after the last meeting? Yeah, I did it last time too. Yeah, so go ahead.
My name is Howard Toplinski. I'm an attorney. I represent the owner of the Shop and Save just down the road here. I reviewed the video of the meeting last on November 8th, and I understand the feeling of the board. And I will tell you that as a parent and as someone who has roots in a community, I understand your concerns, and I share many of your concerns. The only point that I want to make is that by banning tobacco licensees and liquor licensees from selling these two products and only these two products, what you're really doing is it's got a detrimental effect on the viability of some small businesses, excuse me, in this community. There has to be a less restrictive means of accomplishing the goals, the absolute legitimate goals that the village wants to accomplish, which is preventing harm to children, preventing harm to citizens because of unregulated products, making it more so that the labeling is more conspicuous. I mean, things like that will give people more education and more ability to understand what's happening. Things that, as was discussed last time, are being considered, albeit not next week or not next month, in Springfield, where there is a comprehensive bill at least floating around to regulate the sale of these things. Again, I understand and I am empathetic and sympathetic to the concerns of the village board. We are, but again, there must be a less restrictive means to accomplish this. And also, again, as the village attorney said, this is not a total ban in the village on the sale of these products. These products can still be sold, just not with a tobacco licensee or a liquor licensee. I'm not sure that you're necessarily even accomplishing what it is that your goal is to accomplish by passing this ordinance. An ordinance that might have some teeth in it, dealing with child-proof containers, dealing with packaging, dealing with restricting the age of people who can purchase these products. Things like that certainly go more directly to the concerns of the board. And that is my 2 cents, and I do appreciate the time you've given me to speak to you.
Thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
Any discussion on the board level?
I'd like, okay.
I think it's basically an age issue. I think.
You're not referring to my age.
No. I think it's an age issue where people come in, the expectation of age, and when people go to, we've got gas stations that sit there and people come in and try to buy stuff. And they got employees that sit there and film them and show the other employees and do other businesses do the same. I don't think so. Not pointing out this business as a do-wronger, but I think everybody up here is up here to do one thing, is to protect public safety. And if we don't protect public safety, then we're not doing our job. So that's the main goal, is to protect the public
completely
safety of the
understand.
community.
And I heard that loud and clear when I reviewed,
So
last month's meeting.
if someone violates public safety one time, then they lose everything. So I don't want to throw a stone or anything, any business, and I don't want to make an accusation but you gotta look at the whole picture of everything. I'm being as generic as I can.
And I appreciate that. That's exactly the scenario that I'm bringing.
Oh, no, just make sure.
Just make sure everybody,
We have a couple of trustees on Zoom and they said they're.
Okay. Okay.
Make sure
I-
we're in the mics.
I'd like, I just want to say one thing. Your fight is not with us. Your fight was in Springfield. If you want different packaging, go to them. If you want a law passed that is going to protect children, go to them.
We are.
We are doing what we can do at this level. And we don't have any choice. We had some minors actually sold this product, so, and different items. We're doing what we can do. And this is what we can do right now to protect the kids in this community. So I think if you have an issue, go to Springfield. They're the ones that can solve the problem.
And we are obviously hopeful and expect that legislation in Springfield will regulate these products so that they are
I hope they do too.
as safe as they can possibly be and restrict who they can be sold to. In that event, and in the event the board passes this ordinance, we will likely be back in front of you requesting relief if the state goes ahead and regulates along those means.
Thank you.
I don't have anything else.
Any other comments? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Roll call, please.
Berman,
Abstain.
Luther,
Yes.
McNeil,
Yes.
Mason,
Yes.
Peterson.
Yes,
4 voting yes, 1 abstention, motion carries. Next is consideration and approval of an ordinance adding one more Class A full-service restaurant and Class A outdoor restaurant liquor license for 15 Lakes Restaurant LLC, DBA 15 Lakes Prime Steakhouse located at 919 Main Street. Ordinance number 23-11-13. I entertain a motion and a second waiving the second reading.
I'll make a motion
I'll
and
move
waive the
waiving the
second
second
reading.
reading.
Motion trustee Peterson,
Second.
second trustee Berman. Just to keep in consistent with this, I'm gonna recuse myself and give the gavel to trustee Masek.
Oh, but I was gonna say, really, I get to do this? Oh, I'm gonna screw this up. All right, I call an end to this meeting. Hold on, get a picture of this.
I think we need to buckle our seatbelts here for a second.
I don't even know where we're at.
There's a motion and a second on the floor. Any discussion?
7, or 7, yeah, 7, 8. Yeah, I got 7, 8. The 15 Lakes, any discussion?
No discussion from
No discussion. We got a motion, call the vote.
Berman,
yes.
Luther,
Yes.
McNeil,
Yes.
Mason,
Yes.
Peterson.
Yes,
Why is this thing sticky?
5
We're back.
yes,
5 yes,
1 absent, motion.
1 absent. 1 absentee, Mayor steps out. Motion carried, yes. Go get him. That was a fun job. Get a picture. It's kind of sweaty, yeah.
All right. Next item is number 9, consideration and approval of a resolution approving a site plan for the real property located at the address commonly known as 882 Anita Avenue. PIN number 0208404012, resolution number 23-79. Do I have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Motion trustee McNeil,
Second.
second trustee Berman. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Berman,
Yes.
Luther,
yes,
McNeil,
Yes.
Mason,
Yes.
Peterson,
Yes.
5 voting yes, motion carries. Next is consideration and approval of an ordinance granting a variance from the rear and side yard setbacks of 882 Anita Avenue, PIN 0208404012, ordinance number 23-11-34. Do I have a motion and a second waiving the second reading?
So move waiving the second reading.
Motion trustee Peterson,
Second.
second trustee McNeil. Roll call, please.
Berman,
Yes.
Luther,
yes,
McNeil,
Yes.
Mason,
Yes.
Peterson,
Yes.
5 voting yes, motion carries. Number 11, consideration and approval of an ordinance granting a variance to allow an antenna support structure at 41133 North Route 83, PIN 02144000-025, ordinance number 23-11-35. Do I have a motion and a second waiving the second reading?
Waiving the second reading.
Motion trustee Mason,
Second.
second trustee McNeil. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Berman,
No.
Luther,
yes,
McNeil,
Yes.
Mason,
Yes.
Peterson,
Yes.
4 voting yes, motion carries. Next item is consideration and approval of a resolution for the determination of the amounts of money estimated to be necessary to be raised by taxation for the fiscal year 2023 collected in 2024 upon the taxable property in the village of Antioch pursuant to section 18-60 of the Truth in Taxation Law, resolution number 23-80. Do I have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Motion trustee McNeil,
Second.
second trustee Berman. Any discussions or questions for Director Torres? All right. Roll call, please.
Berman,
Yes.
Luther,
yes,
McNeil,
Yes.
Mason,
Yes.
Peterson,
Yes.
5 voting yes, motion carries. All right. Administrators report. Jeff, do you have anything? Okay. Village clerk's report.
I just want to report that Groot is on their third week of the leaf vacuuming, their third pass of the leaf vacuuming program for this year. They're going to be up next week for their fourth pass to get the rest of the leaves that are at the curbside.
They haven't hit anybody. They don't put those.
They've done two passes through the village. They're doing their third pass this week.
Well, I'm telling you, they haven't hit anybody. They have not gone and opened those for residents. They have not hit Heron Harbor at 0. So whatever they're telling you is a book story.
I did speak to residents in Oakwood Knolls
Well, they haven't
who
hit
were picked up, but, and I know that
every day I drive.
All right.
Same leaves for the last
All right.
month.
So
Can I look at,
yeah, we this is like Groundhog Day every year with this contract.
This is
So I'd like to, I would like to look at, yeah, we'll look at that contract, whether we continue to, this is supposed to be a add-on free benefit and it's more of a pain in the, you know what, than anything. So we'll see how the contract looks and look at it for next year. Yeah. Okay. But yeah, thank you. Anything else on that? All right. So Jimmy, we pull that contract.
we'll pull the contract and I'll take a look at it tomorrow, Mr. Mayor.
All right. Communications report.
Good evening, Mayor, Village Board, residents of Antioch. Thank you for having me here tonight. As you might have seen on social media or heard on the radio, tomorrow, November 30th, is Antioch Day on WBN Radio. They'll be talking about our village throughout the day, promoting economic development and shopping opportunities and dining opportunities for our village. In coinciding with that, we've also done a media buy promoting Antioch as a destination for holiday shopping and dining throughout the holiday shopping season. So if you have a chance, listen. They have a video they put on Facebook earlier today showcasing our our community. And so far, everything looks like they've done a really good job. So I'm excited to promote our village that way. You might have seen on Facebook also, we put up some pictures on Monday of last Friday's parade and tree lighting. As of earlier today, we had about 8,200 views of the Facebook post with the pictures, which the way I look at it, we've reached more people through Facebook than we did actually that came out to the parade, which was a sizable amount of people here also. But I'm excited that we had a photographer out. She did a great job. It's the same photographer that has come out to Rodney Atkins and some of our other concerts. And it was exciting to put the pictures on there. I think they look good. If you haven't had a chance, I'd suggest you take a look at them. We also have downtown Christmas music playing downtown. Earlier this month, with the help of Rich Meltzer and Bob Retner, we were able to move the sound system from the chamber office into my office. We were able to play around with it, update some equipment, and get Christmas music playing every day throughout the holiday shopping season. So I'm excited about that. I'm also working with Assistant Administrator Eccles on a naming contest for the open space redevelopment project. As we get an idea put together, we'll bring it to you guys. And finally, you may have seen in the mail today or yesterday, we have a newsletter that got sent out. First of all, I appreciate all feedback and ideas for content. Two issues that I've identified so far with this. There is an issue between getting it from the printer to the post office where it came out later than I was expecting. I thought it was going to be in homes about a week and a half before it has been. So I'm working to figure out what happened, and I'll make sure that doesn't happen again. And also, something I'm embarrassed about, it's missing the list of elected officials on there that is typically done on just about any municipality mailing anywhere. They have a list of the trustees and elected officials, and that was my oversight, and I apologize. So other than that, any questions?
Just a suggestion.
Yes.
I just, when those come out, I think we gotta do a better job promoting the police department because they're lovely people. People like to think we're in a safe place, and everybody wants to see their smiling faces. Just an idea of what they do, because they do such hard work. And just they're out there and promote a better atmosphere instead of people growing up hating police. People grow up with a different atmosphere, loving the police.
I think that's a great idea.
Put his face more on there. Yeah, smiling.
It's going to be our cover of Connections.
Smiling guy.
Jim, how often is that going out? The hard copy newsletter?
I'm sorry?
How often will be?
Twice a year.
Twice a year. Okay.
No, that's the plan during budget
Nick
time.
Garcia.
If we want to change the frequency, we can, but the plan is for twice a year.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Next is Parks. Director Quilty.
Thank you. First off, I want to thank the mayor and trustees for leading our parade. It was a great float. It was a great way to start our parade. We asked, along with your float, we had 42 other sparkly, shiny, lighted floats, which was the first. I think that drew a lot of people. I did get a lot of comments that it was a lot of the floats were lit up. So thank you so much. And it was a great parade. We did have an abundance of fire trucks with no horns, but it was perfect. Our next community event is our Festival of Trees, and it will be at the Sawmill, and it starts this weekend. We have 11 decorated trees from the community, along with the Parks tree and a village tree. They will be there till the 17th, and then as people come to visit Santa, they can vote on their favorite tree. Each tree will have its own QR code. So then on the 18th, we will have our judges and the votes tallied from the QR codes, and we will have voted the best tree at the festival, and it'll be announced on December 18th. And then lastly, we have Santa will be visiting 38 homes in Antioch next week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So if you are on the list, if you've been good, or if you registered,
Oh,
do you have any questions? a busy
Yeah.
time for Parks and Rec right
Sure.
now.
Yeah, no, great. Thank you. It's everybody likes that move over to the sawmill for the Santa.
Too cold.
I always hear good things about
Mhm.
Santa being over there now. So
Yeah, and it's kind of covered.
yes. Thank you. Next is who's next? Public Works.
Thank you, Your Honor, and good evening. First, I'll start with the downtown park, or the open space across the street here. The Main Street overlook walls are currently undergoing the installation of the stone facing. It's a dimensional stone that is being mortared onto the face of it. The bridge walls are being poured this week, and the bridge deck is scheduled to be poured in 2 weeks, approximately. Throughout the creek area, the placement of the in-stream stone continues in the outcropping, the large limestone along the banks, with, I would say, approximately 60% of that creek work or stone work is completed. Work on the sanitary sewer main, which is being rerouted through the site, is started back up. There will be a future closure of Orchard Street. I don't have that time yet. It will be for 1 or 2 days approximately, and we'll do the same as we did previously with notification of fire and police and schools and Facebook or whatever is needed to let the residents know. And there'll be proper signage that's put out by the contract. Today, ComEd executed the movement. There was a big transformer on the south side of the site. We're going to utilize that. So it's moved over to the north. That'll supply all the power basically throughout the park. But that move did have an impact on the clock tower. It's far away from the clock tower. So if you get any complaints as to why it's not lit up or the correct time, that's why. When it will be reactivated, that'll be when the rest of the park gets the electric basically ran through it for the lighting. So I would say spring would be a better time frame of when that could occur. The road program is fully completed. The traffic painting occurred basically last week, and that was the final step. So that's all good. I hope that if you've driven on the roads, I hope that you like them and enjoy them. Well 9, the contractor has pulled the pumping and the pipe assembly for that well. Testing on the components per the contract that we signed have been complete, and a preliminary report has been done on it. It does look like the motor and part of the assembly and the pumping motor is bad. So I'm going to have further discussions with contractor as to what the repairs may be, or if it's a full replacement, and I'll update you on the cost on that. I did originally present it as a worst case scenario. And then we're still having discussions with insurance to see if there's any action that can be taken related to the any questions as of right now before I go on? Or?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So on the road program,
Yes.
the mayor noticed it too. So you got Bulls Road, you got Anita, you got that big long gap in the center of the street. It's probably gonna have to be addressed with some hot top track in the spring.
On what road?
Well, Bulls Road, definitely.
Bulls?
Bulls and you, what's the other big road we did?
Anita, Trevor. Yeah, Anita was done.
Cause you got right.
The center seam, or
You got a big seam there and water's gonna get down. And especially on Bulls Road, you're gonna lose the integrity of that road.
it's typical that there is a center seam because of the width. The width is so much, and then they also need to create a crown. There's a 2% slope from the center of the road to the shoulder. No, I'm not saying that you're not wrong, but there's every road that gets paved, there's a center seam, because that's just basically they can't pave the whole width of the road at once.
Yeah.
But now that if we continue to do the crack sealing, if there's any issues, I will address it with the contractor and the engineers.
If you look at it, it just looks like a larger
Okay.
than normal.
I'll look at it. And then that's also the effort of the crack sealing. So in like 6 years or 8 years from now, we'll go and grind that with contractor and crack seal that to make sure that there's no infiltration of water to create failure. Well, thank you. All right, the clarifier, last week, Monday, staff did fill the clarifier. It was much needed to transfer over from the west clarifier. The east clarifier was the one that we had all the work done on. And then put it into operation on Tuesday, and everything is going well with it. So we just, I think there's a final pay request that we'll be working on, or I'll be working on Strand, and you'll see that coming. The quiet zone, the latest update I have is Buffalo Grove, who is the village of Buffalo Grove. They're the ones who are leading the reinstatement of basically the quiet zone across Lake County. They did receive the FRA's inspection report last Wednesday. I haven't seen what they're going to share with us, but briefly they discussed that they did come up with a handful of issues, none that I'm aware of in Antioch, or that would be our responsibility. So they're working on getting those either rectified or whatever needs to be done at those crossings. But it does sound like it may be delayed a little bit more to where the train horns would go silent, but it does look like we're in the right direction. So, and then lastly, I wanted to share, since late June, I've actively been involved in trying to update my fleet and look for purchasing of vehicles. So I'm pleased to share that I did finally get documentation from a dealership, basically on the request that I had through them of 5 vehicles, which I intend to bring to you at the next board meeting to present the cost and hopefully the authorization to proceed. It's been a significant challenge to obtain vehicles, especially dump trucks, which are still not allowing any orders on. So I was happy that they responded. And I utilized the Northwest Municipal Conference. They have a purchasing cooperative, so they do all the bidding, and then they pick the dealer with the lowest bid or the qualified bid, and then we're able to utilize that. So it was all, we've used them before, so it was all done per a normal process. Any other questions?
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, any trustee reports? All right, then I entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion trustee Peterson,
Second.
second trustee McNeil. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, meeting is adjourned at 7:20. We'll take a 5-minute recess and reconvene. 7, the committee of the whole meeting. Roll call, please.
Trustee Berman,
Here.
trustee Bluthart,
Here.
trustee McNeil,
Here.
trustee Pierce is absent, trustee Mason,
Here.
trustee Peterson,
Present.
Mayor Gardner.
Present. So I have 2 things on this report. So I just want to let the board know that last week, or maybe 2 weeks ago now, we received notification from Josh Bowler that our project manager from Bowler took another position. So John Doherty was his name. He went to another company. We had our regular Tuesday meeting, and Josh Bowler, the owner, was present, ran the meeting. It was actually a very good meeting, and he did indicate that they're going to bring on another person to help manage the project. But I just want the board to know that we had double transition last week. So also, I want the board to know that I asked staff and Rachel Alcazar to start putting together an RFQ for construction managers for the Village Hall project and the Public Works project. So that will be coming to the board for review and approval at some point. Oh, really? Okay. Well, it may not come back here before the approval, but when we get the bids, you'll all know about it. So we'll give you notice when that comes up. Next is the approval of the November 8th, 2023 Committee of the Whole meeting minutes as presented. Do I have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Motion trustee McNeil, second trustee Berman. Any discussion? Otherwise, roll call, please.
Berman,
Yes.
Luther,
yes,
McNeil.
Yes.
Mason,
Yes.
Peterson.
Yes.
All right, 5 voting yes, and motion carries. Next item is discussion regarding the insurance renewal for property casualty and workers' compensation insurance. We have Cal Pierce and Miles Shep on Zoom from Gallagher to deliver the bad news. Sorry, guys, for that lead in, but yeah.
No worries. Is everyone able to hear us okay?
Yes.
Yep.
Awesome. Thank you. Well, good evening, council, board, and city members. My name is Cal Pierce with Gallagher. Alongside me is my colleague, Miles Shep. I'm very pleased to be sitting in front of you today virtually and outline our proposed program for the city's property casualty workers' comp program for the upcoming year. In your board packets, I'm assuming you have the insurance proposal itself. Is that correct?
Yes.
Awesome. Appreciate that. So what we'll do today is kind of do a brief dive through that. We do have some supporting documents. If I'm able to share my screen, or is everyone on the board able to see that okay? I don't have it shared now, but if I do pull it up, are you all able to see it?
Yeah, if you pull it up, we can see it.
Okay. Okay. We'll go ahead and just dive right in. To start off on the proposal itself in your board packets.
Sorry,
I mean,
it's not. It didn't share for some reason.
Okay, I'll go ahead and share that. My apologies.
There we go.
Pulled up. All right. All right, so what we have in front of you is a 142-page proposal. For the sake of everyone's time now, we won't obviously dive through all of this. We'll kind of outline the important things for the village itself. Let's go ahead and start with our marketing review. Page 3 kind of outlines the Gallagher service team, myself and Miles on the account. We do also have a back-end servicer, Kate Reens, who's awesome, who's, like I said, on the back end, willing to help out. If we want to jump to page 6, this is kind of the marketing review this year. Now, it's our recommendation to stay with Liberty Mutual. As this market review shows, we did shotgun this out to as many carriers as we could in the municipality and public entity space. Now, the public entity space for carriers is kind of dwindled in terms of willingness and capacity to write. A few years ago, we had more than 5 carriers willing to jump on and quote cities. Now that's kind of dwindled down to no more than 3, with Travelers, Tokyo, Liberty Mutual, and Trident being kind of the 4 major players in the space. Given the city's adverse loss history and where we're currently sitting with your loss ratio, we're very fortunate to have Liberty Mutual still on this account, and it'd be our recommendation to move forward. With that, page 6 does show all of our marketing efforts. When I mentioned your package policy, that's going to entail your property, general liability, law enforcement, all that fun stuff. So when I say, we shotgun the market on the package itself, it was very difficult for these carriers, one, to be able to offer a quote, but 2, their willingness to offer a quote. So very fortunate to have Liberty Mutual still on this account, given the adverse loss history. So we did shoot this out to Travelers, Tokyo, Trident, all declined due to the claims experience and the loss history. So, we can go down the list and go line by line. And unfortunately, it all says the same thing, decline to quote.
I don't know if the people on Zoom, can the people on Zoom see this quote, what he's presenting?
Yeah, that's shown on their screen. Yep.
Okay, because the big thing on that quote, what I wanted you for our meeting is to show all the insurance company that says, no, we don't want to even quote you. And,
right.
And that's the big picture of the tightening of the insurance industry.
Yeah, it's unfortunately a very tough market out there. We're in one of the toughest markets we've ever seen in insurance, for the past few years now. And unfortunately, there's no signs of it softening. Just kind of gets worse and worse. Everything going on in the economy with inflation, reinsurance. So insurance companies, need insurance for themselves. So the reinsurance market, as a whole is still very tough and difficult for those insurance companies as well. So given that everything in the market, as well as the losses, very, very difficult to find coverage this year. We're working our best to obviously help mitigate claims so that we can be more favorable in the years to come. So that opens the door for more carriers to step in. So we're obviously working with the city and everything that we can do to get these claims experiences a little better. But going back to marketing review, again, we shotgunned it out. The package itself with Liberty, workers' compensation, IPRF's, the tough one to beat. They're the best player in the workers' comp space, so that we recommend staying with them. And then for cyber liability, we did shoot this off to a couple cyber carriers. With Palomar or their paper company Cowbell would be our recommendation. So that's it from a marketing perspective. Are there any other questions on the marketing itself? Take that as a no. Okay. All right, let's jump over to your exposure comparison. Now, in total insured values have dropped a little bit. One being we did remove 2 locations off the property due to the age. Liberty Mutual removed them off the blanket due to the age of the buildings itself. However, those are on a separate blanket. But I believe we did take off, a location, and we had a duplicate location on there that we removed as well. So from a total insured value standpoint, that dropped about 3%, about $3 million. Your equipment dropped, less than $200,000 as well. Vehicle values were slightly up, as well as the number of vehicles from 53 to 55. And then your law enforcement from 24 to 28 was a noticeable increase on the law liability. Your total payroll increased 12% from 6.6 to 7.5. So these are kind of the heart of the exposures where we're seeing some of these increases. It's a little misleading on the property itself, but we want to outline, the property market, like I said, very tough. Cost of construction, materials, inflation. What it costs to repair a building now is 3 times what it was a few years ago. Just a very tough market. So what you're going to see is property increases are pretty heavily just due to inflationary, and obviously that open clarifier claim that happened, kind of just a one-off bad luck thing that happened, but that does play into your loss history, which I'll pull up here in a second. From a work comp standpoint, things are looking very well. We want to applaud the city for all the efforts that you're putting into, mitigating claims in your work comp side. While payroll was up, while you're adding more employees are getting raises, that's good. The city's growing, comes higher premium. With that though, we saw work comp actually come in very flat on the premium side. And one, because, rates are dropping in workers' comp market, but 2, because of the city's losses in work comp are very favorable. So again, we applaud the city for all they're doing and mitigating from a work comp standpoint. Here you can see kind of the rates and payroll changes. As I outlined, we had a 12% increase on the payroll itself, shown down here, noticeable increase on total payroll. And then at the bottom here, you can kind of see the rates. Work comp market is softening. Rates are declining a little bit. So that has a factor on your work comp premiums as well. I do want to jump into the loss summary and stratification now. Bear with me. There's a lot to show on this screen. We don't have to dive through all of it. I'm going to go to the bottom here and kind of all lines of coverage. Zoom in a little bit. As you can see down here, the city is currently running a 210% loss ratio. This goes back more, carriers look at, 3 to 5 years, mostly 5. But unfortunately, in this marketplace, carriers are now going back 7 years. And in some instances, they're looking at 10 years of losses. So in this case, we're going back, more than 5 years, and we're looking at a 210% loss ratio. Now, given some of these claims, a few years ago, we had obviously the clarifier claim, that's a large loss, kind of a one-off, unlucky thing that happens. Shit happens out there. If you remove some of these, one-off large losses from your loss ratio, we're still running about 120% overall loss ratio. Carriers are looking to write around the 40 to 50% loss ratio, right? They need to make money being in the insurance. So that's where we're currently sitting with your losses. Again, a few things we can do to mitigate, implement some trainings, kind of, a couple bad slip trip falls, just making sure that, surfaces are paved maybe on the city and whatnot. But from a loss standpoint, there's better things ahead. very excited to maybe implement some new loss control strategies in place with our national risk control team. But that's where we're currently sitting at from a loss standpoint. And how that affects your premiums will be shown here. So now to the fun stuff. This is your overall premiums. Oh, excuse me.
Just to let you know, none of that stuff you're showing, flipping through is in our packet.
Yep, sorry. It won't be in your packet, but it'll be on the screen if you can see that. So, please interrupt me or stop me if you need further clarification or if you're unable to see anything. But what we have in front of you now is your premium. On the left is your total expiring of $538,000. On the right is the program for the upcoming year, coming in at $682,000. Now that's a 26% change and $145,000 change. We know that's a large increase given what's going on. But we're very, fortunate that Liberty Mutual is, still willing to give us a shot and, work with us to make sure that the city is, set up for long-term success. And they also want to help, kind of drive those claims down so that, we're all in a more favorable position in the years to come. So with that, the big ones come in property, $30,000 change or increase, 40%. Again, everything going on in the property market with that one claim is kind of playing a factor with that. Auto liability, we had a few additions to the autos, a few minor auto accidents here and there. We're looking at 46,000 or 46% increase on that. The other one we want to touch on is umbrella. Now, Liberty Mutual's management and kind of up and down their program, they're cutting back on their umbrella limits. So you're currently sitting at a $7 million limit at expiring. Liberty Mutual is no longer offering $7 million. They're only coming in at the $5 million mark. So obviously we don't want to forego any coverage for the city. So what we did is we went out and found another $2 million excess that will sit on top of the $5 million. So it's up to the city's discretion at this point of what level of comfortability you're willing to take on the umbrella itself. For taking on $5 million in limit, that's coming in at $49,000. If you want to stay at the $7 million limit mark, that's an additional $25,000 on top of that. So, we're looking at about $75,000 for that, $7 million umbrella itself. Last year's $36,000. So, a noticeable increase on the umbrella itself. Again, with workers' comp, with IPRF, very favorable renewal with them this year, coming in relatively flat. Again, with the rates down, with all the loss control on your end, we're very happy with IPRF on that standpoint. From a cyber liability standpoint, obviously cyber has been one of the hottest, topics in insurance the past few years. All the applications that need to be filled out, all the controls that need to be put in place, MFA, endpoint detection and response, right? It was very difficult for not only cities, but also every insurer trying to implement all these cyber controls so that they're adequately covered from a cyber standpoint. So last year, we had the cyber through Liberty Mutual itself. While that is an encompassing cyber policy, it's not as broad as we'd like to see on our end. So what we did is we went out through our wholesaler, RPS, and found an option through Palomar Excess, also known as Cowbell, for a standalone cyber policy. Now, this is a little more pricey compared to last year, but when I pull up the coverage comparison here in a sec, it'll give you a better understanding of why this might be more important to go on a standalone route. Unfortunately, cities, nonprofits are one of the most targeted, industries for cyber hacks and criminals. All the data you hold, administrators wearing many different hats within the city itself. Unfortunately, things do get slipped through the cracks a little. So unfortunately, public entities are one of the highest targeted industries. So that's why we'd recommend kind of going with a more broad and encompassing cyber policy itself. So that's what we're currently looking at for your premium standpoint. Again, a 26% increase. It's large given what's going on in the marketplace, given what's going on in the losses. We've had to deliver some other renewals that are anywhere from 15 to 20%. So you're not alone when in terms of an increase in premiums. So that's what we're looking at there. Are there any questions? Yep. Sorry. Any questions on exposures premiums?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
You want to also go through what we lost as far as coverage? Because you went through, I love where premiums have changed, but we also lost coverage with the premium change, wind hail deductibles, roof schedules. So you didn't go through what's lost, what
Yep.
the insurance companies took away and increased their premium.
Yep. And I'll get into that here in a second. I have it.
Paying more and getting some less coverage. So we got to factor that in with their budgeting.
Correct. And you know, less coverage.
You're gonna have to go back through each line item because you went through it so quickly. And you're gonna have to say, okay, this is what you lost in the property coverage.
Correct. All right. My apologies for jumping ahead. Noted. In terms of lost coverage, from a coverage and limit standpoint, I wouldn't say that we really lost coverage in any point of view. They did go ahead and raise deductibles on this account given the losses, which I'll touch on here. So on my screen, if you can see this, is a side-by-side coverage comparison of what we're looking at. We can start with auto liability. Again, you're currently sitting at $1 million from an auto liability.
Let's all the trustees get to that page. What page you on?
That's an Excel spreadsheet.
Sorry, it is
We
not
don't have
included.
that page.
It's not included in your packets, I do not believe. If you want to go through the proposal itself, I'm happy to kind of drive through the proposal itself with you. It doesn't really show side-by-side coverage though. So that's why I like to pull up this Excel spreadsheet.
Well, you can generalize. What's our, there is a wind hail deductible that was not last year, correct?
Yeah. All right. Yep. So we'll start with property. Yep. If you want to flip to, page 9 of the proposal in your packets, that starts with property itself. On my screen, I'll show it as well. The big thing with property this year are the deductibles. Last year, we're sitting at a $5,000 deductible on property itself. Now we're looking at a $50,000 deductible. Your quake and flood, we're sitting at $50,000 last year. Those got bumped up to 100,000 deductibles this year.
Cal, 1 second. It's page 346 in your packet.
Oh, sorry. Yep.
Thank you, Lori.
Yep. My apologies. I do not have the full packet in front of me, so I don't know what page those are, but thank you, Lori.
Okay.
I just want everybody to follow along. I get that we went up in premium, so did everybody else. But I also want the board to understand that if we do have a loss, that we're gonna have to pull money out of the general fund.
Okay. And then going off this, the wind hail deductible, excuse me, there's a typo here. Wind hail was sitting at $25,000 last year. It's now at $100,000, similar to quake and flood for your wind hail. And then they did throw a $50,000 deductible for water damage as well. But again, no coverage has foregone. You're still at the $5 million mark for quake and flood. Your property is still sitting at a blanket limit. We're at 55 million for your real property, just under 11 million for your personal property. So all the contents in your buildings. And then we do have that 1 million of extra expense coverage. If you need to close doors for a week, for a month, maybe move to a temporary location, you have $1 million of coverage there for extra expenses incurred. Are there any other questions on property?
Just on do you have any companies that require MVRs for new hires that you have to have an MVR list?
Miles, are you aware that Liberty has an MVR requirement? Most do.
We have that in our employee policy handbook as well.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Usually
yours
it's
is
internal.
90 days, right?
I'm not sure on the day for the MVR. I'll have to go back and double check with you and get back to you.
And that excludes coverage for vehicles. We'll pay for other vehicles, but not for our vehicles. So I just want to make sure, because that's getting even more restrictive on the commercial. That's a new thing on commercial now.
Do you mean for like hired and non-owned vehicles?
Just for employees driving company vehicles, that's starting to hit the commercial market.
Oh yeah. They're starting to crack down a little bit on that. It's kind of a gray area there when.
It's starting to get brutal. It's on personal. It hit personal lines, and now it's hitting the commercial lines.
All right. Moving right along to general liability, should be right under your property. On the next page of your packet, we're sitting on a $3 million aggregate. 3 million products completed, 1 million personal ad injuries, with 1 million occurrence. Damage to premises rented. If you need to rent any premise, you have 500,000 coverage there, and then a 5,000 medical expense limit if you need to pay anything out. From an employee benefits liability standpoint, we're setting a $3 million aggregate for employee benefits liability. So the benefits plan in place for your employees, if any wrongdoings are there, $3 million coverage there. And then we do have some additional coverages below. As you can see, sexual misconduct liability, sexual abuse, $1 million for that. And then for the deductibles, they did throw a $25,000 deductible on general liability itself, just given what's going on with the losses. Your employee benefits is still at a $1,000 deductible. And then we're sitting at a $10,000 deductible for your sexual misconduct liability. Moving right along. Next would be your law enforcement liability. From a law enforcement liability, we're still at the 1 million aggregate, 1 million for each wrongful act. Last year, we were sitting at a $10,000 deductible that got increased to 25,000 this year. And that's going across, all the executive lines, your public officials, your employment practices liability. Now, this is not uncommon in this industry. Even accounts with really good losses are still seeing these deductible lines getting increased. Just, kind of the uncertainty with law enforcement these days, kind of what's going on with employment practices and public officials. So while this is an increase on the deductibles itself, it's not uncommon. You're not alone on this standpoint. We have a couple losses here and there that may play factor into it. But Liberty Mutual is one of the companies that's looking to increase these deductibles across all lines, regardless of your loss history. For public officials, you're also still at a 1 million aggregate. And then for your employment practice liability, so, wrongful terminations, discrimination claims, things of those nature, we're at a $5 million aggregate. And that deductible also got increased to $25,000 as well. And those are all kind of following each other on the next few pages. Do we have any questions in regards to those executive lines that we'd like to say? Public officials, employment practices, law enforcement.
Yeah, law enforcement, I got one coverage for you to research. And this would be for if the officers were looking at possibly picking up individually, or we had a program where if for some reason, if I don't know if it even exists on a side where someone said you're going to lose your immunity, if they could buy a package for, there's something that exists on the government side with Brit or someone else where they can protect themselves from losing their family and farm.
Yeah.
You ever hear of a program like that?
I haven't worked specifically on any programs like that. Miles, are you experienced with any of those?
I don't think an umbrella would protect them. So if you can ask around on that.
Yeah, sure. I do believe we have the law enforcement in the umbrella though itself.
Yeah, but if they're for that particular case, I don't think it would protect them if, in the scenario I gave, if they're losing immunity, they would not.
No, yeah, I get what you're saying. Again, I might have to go back and double check with that, unless Miles has anything further.
You like a concealed carry insurance policy.
Okay. I'll have to get back to you on that. Write that down. Moving right along. We kind of touched on auto already. 1 million liability. We do have 1 million for uninsured and underinsured motorist coverage. We have physical damage, hired and non-owned. If we need to hire or lease any vehicles, we have $1 million of coverages there as well. Physical damage for comp and collision. For a physical accident itself, a tree falls on a vehicle, and for this, a city insured vehicle, we have coverage for that as well. So we're all adequately covered from a auto standpoint. Deductibles, pull this back up. Deductibles were raised on the auto. Your comp and collision went from comprehensive from 1,000 to 5,000, collision again from 1,000 to 5,000. And then, up to 10,000 for vehicles over 100,000 in value. So, a slight increase on the deductibles for those autos as well. Below is your full auto schedule. You can see we have 55 autos. We added 3 additional autos this year, which all can be found on that page. Moving to the umbrella. Now we're sitting at a $5 million aggregate for your umbrella. So on top of your liability itself, right? So we're sitting at about $8 million of coverage from a umbrella standpoint or total insured standpoint. Very adequate umbrella limit for the city itself. Now, similar to all the other lines, there was an increase on the deductibles for the umbrella. Last year we were sitting at a 10,000 self-insured retention. That got bumped up to 50,000 self-insured retention. So if a claim does happen to hit the umbrella, now we got to pay the additional 50,000 retention. That does encompass the underlying liabilities, the auto, general liability, law enforcement, public officials, sexual misconduct, all included under that umbrella, which is shown on the next few pages below. Again, with Liberty, with Liberty, they cut that back down to 5. If we do elect to go the 7 million route, the 2 million sitting on top of the 5 million, then we're sitting at 10 million in coverage for your umbrella. So again, it's up to the city's discretion, how comfortable they are taking on 2 million less in coverage for the price. Is there any other questions?
Yeah, here I go.
Yep,
Another
go ahead.
question. So, a bunch of years ago, when the village got into claims issue, they went into the pool.
Yep.
Because now, hope everybody heard that basically a lot of claims were self-insured now.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. I'm happy to. Nope, sorry, go ahead.
I don't think you quoted the pool outs.
No, yep, I was about to touch on that. So I appreciate you bringing that up. From a pooling standpoint, as our job, as your brokers, we're trying to find the best possible program for the city itself. And one of the things that we were looking into was a pooling option. We do have some pools within Gallagher that we administer that we're really pushing to get a quote for. It was kind of delayed with going to their board and trying to get a approval for admission. Given the city's loss history, the board ultimately decided that it wouldn't be a good year for an admission. With that said, as losses start dropping off the loss summary, we start looking a little more favorable. They're happy to take a look, in the years to come. So pooling, not an option this year for the city.
So
However,
we got nothing in the Illinois pool, Illinois municipal pool, nothing, 0, no option.
No, we were unable to find an option for our pool.
So how do we get for the vehicles? I think the struggle, everybody's looking at each other. All the vehicles now have a $10,000 deductible. So how do we get past all our deductible challenges? Basically, we're self-insuring everything. $50,000 liability, $10,000 deductibles, wind hail deductibles. What's our wind hail deductible?
$100,000.
$100,000. So basically, we get a windstorm coming through. We're self-insuring basically the village.
Yeah, essentially, yeah.
So, how do we have to fight for the next meeting? You guys have to get an option because there's programs out there, because I do it for associations as a secondary policy to get that gap coverage.
So
But yeah, we're, you know,
that gap
it's,
coverage, I can get a policy made for that wind hail coverage and get that through my brokerage companies. So I don't know if you guys got access to programs like that. Because I think we'd have a taste of looking at gap coverage. I mean, we got a lot of gap coverage. If we get a tornado that comes to the village, that could be a couple $1 million claim that the taxpayers would have to eat.
all right. Miles, do you have any experience with stopgap coverage or gap coverage? Miles, you on?
So you want, probably you're gonna have to go back to the senior guys at the agency and then come back to you can send all of us emails.
Yeah,
This
no,
is
it's
just
definitely
the
something
first
we can look
reading.
into.
Yeah,
Obviously
This
that's
is the
gonna,
first reading. I don't want to speak for the mayor, but this is the first meeting. I think this is a concern that I can look at people's eyes and go, holy cripe, we got some issues here.
no, and you're not wrong. I mean, it's definitely an option to look into. It does come with price.
I know I can fill it.
price or
I can
increase.
fill that. I can fill that policy for condos. There's got to be a program out there that's got to be a gap program for municipalities. It's got to be out there. So if you want to take a couple, 2-3 phone calls and send Lori an email, that'd be great.
Yep. I'll look into that. Appreciate
Right,
you bringing
Mayor?
that up.
Sorry.
Oh, I agree.
Speaking for the mayor, I didn't mean to say that.
This is your expertise.
No, I'm just a dingaling. 40 years doing this, I'm just practicing.
When's the I see the renewal date, 31st. Okay, so
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask you one question. Why maybe I'm on the wrong page. Why the renewal quotes is 12/31/22 to 12/31/25? Is that a typo or is that okay?
Oh, sorry. You were looking at the crime policy.
Yeah.
The crime is on a 3-year policy.
Okay.
Yep. Thank you for bringing that up.
So I see.
Yeah.
1/1/24. Okay. All right. So we have one more meeting before. So I think this is going to be something that we can put on the regular meeting for business meeting, but obviously there's going to be more discussion than normal on a regular item. Is that correct?
Up to you.
No, that's
Oh,
oh,
the guy in charge.
Ashley.
Good evening, Your Honor and Village Board. I just would like to take a moment to touch on something that Cal mentioned earlier in his presentation regarding the standalone cyber policy. So he's certainly correct that municipalities are facing an increased number of attacks. I just would like the board to consider too an alternate methodology behind that. I did discuss it certainly with our IT manager. And we're believers in that, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And one of the best things that the village could do to protect our IT infrastructure, especially with a small IT team that manages all of the equipment and is responsible for all the equipment in the village, would be robust asset management, which would give us tools to utilize across the village. And in the event that an attack were to happen, that would also be one of the best safeguards for the department to utilize. So I just want to take a moment to mention that as well.
All right, thank you. All right, so we'll gather some information. I will consult with staff and Trustee Masick about a couple of the items I have questions about and move it to the next board meeting on the 13th. All right. Thank you. Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you. Don't hesitate to reach out if you have any more questions for us. Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you all.
Next item is discussion regarding the annual meeting calendar. Our local Casanova here noticed that one of the dates for the meeting was on Valentine's Day. So I don't know if you want to discuss that.
Oh, we should move it to 5:30.
So I just wanted to bring that up. That was one of the dates, and also it's a little unusual that 2 of the meetings, November and December only have one meeting. I guess we could always call a special meeting. So I don't know if we want to move it to a Tuesday night on Valentine's week, or
Man,
I don't care.
what do you guys want to do on that?
Romeo.
Okay. I don't want to like a slew of divorces from staff. All right. All right. I guess any discussion about the calendar?
Can't go to Midwest.
All right, then we'll move that to the next meeting for a vote.
So just leave it as it is.
Yeah. All right, we'll leave it as is and vote on it next time. All right. Next one is discussion regarding employee handbook amendments to the Illinois Paid for All Workers Act. Assistant Administrator Eccles, floor is yours.
Thank you. In order to address the nuts and bolts first with the Paid Leave for All Workers Act, as you know, this is going to be coming into effect Jan 1 of 2024. The legislation will require the village to provide all employees with a minimum of 1 hour paid leave for every 40 hours worked, and allow employees to carry over up to 40 hours of paid leave annually. And this would include part-time and seasonal workers. So what you see in your packet is the attached draft ordinance adopts our current accrual policy for all village employees. If the village adopts a leave ordinance for employees after the act's effective date, Jan 1, the ordinance must comply with the minimum paid leave standard that's outlined within the act. So what you see in the proposed ordinance, Section 11, vacation of Chapter 8, time off and leave of absence, is broken out now into two sections. So one of those is related to the vacation accruals piece, and the other is related to payout and rollover. And so the biggest takeaway here is really the fact that this will allow the board to address future rollover and payout allowances separately from what's required by the Illinois Paid Leave for All Workers Act. The current policy as it stands does not provide any benefit time off for employees who work less than 20 hours per week. So this proposed amendment clearly defines that temporary and seasonal employees would be provided with a minimum of 1 day of paid leave per year to be in compliance with the act. And as we were going through this process too, we did a few cleanup items just in terms of language and consistency within the policy. So we did adjust Section 8.11B vacation pay, now modified to again include that rollover. And once again, should the board adopt a revised policy in the coming year, those future amendments would be reflected within this section of the handbook. And then, as I mentioned, there's a number of other cleanup items that we did based on feedback that we'd received recently from the board. So this would allow employees would be encouraged to take their vacation leave on an annual basis and use their full allotment annually. The number of vacation days may be determined also upon terms that's decided within a conditional offer of employment that would be accepted by the employee during the recruitment process. Vacation time, just, really kind of getting more into the weeds, but mentioning that is reflected on the biweekly payroll. The fact that employees shall not accumulate more than the annual allotment as of December 31st each year. And the accrual rate would continue to be based upon the annual budgeted hours for the position. So this would remove the exception and the authority of the village administrator to make any exceptions to that policy. Happy to address any questions.
Just as a aside, I get emails all the time from every municipal league body lobbying the legislature and the governor to exempt municipalities and local governments from this. That has been kicked around in Springfield. There's indication that the governor would not sign that into law, but I do believe it's going to be up again in some point, maybe in the January session. I mean, this becomes law, I think, January 1st.
It's a little interesting for sure at the state level because of the regulatory bodies here, especially with the Department of Labor. So that is expected to be, there's going to be more from them supposedly in March.
All right, so just more, more of a circus act on this than anything. But if this does get amended, we just go back and then amend the policy again.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Logistically, if a seasonal employee is here that's a lifeguard,
Mhm.
how do they use those?
Right, so
days?
that accrual time, right, because they wouldn't be as a seasonal employee, that calculation, they likely wouldn't be working enough to accrue up to that 40 hours anyways, that would
Okay.
be prorated.
Okay. All right, thank you. Any other questions on this? So we will move this along to the next meeting as well. Am I at the end of my agenda here? Yep. All right, any requests for executive session? All right, any other business? Otherwise, I entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion trustee.
Second.
Second trustee Berman, is that her down there? All right, roll call, please.
Berman,
Yes.
Luther,
Yes.
McNeil,
Yes.
Mason, Peterson.
Yes.
4 voting yes, motion carries. Meeting's adjourned to 8:10.